Welcome to the Killer Boobies podcast, Unraveling Breast Implant Illness. Here's your hosts, Wendy Bunnell, Leslie Smoot, and Brandy Vega. Welcome. This podcast is a special bonus episode, and it's going on both of my podcasting platforms. Illuminate Your Essence, which is the active one that I am actively having episodes go out every single week. And then my Killer Boobies podcast, which hasn't had an episode for an entire year. And guess what is going live this year? It's going to be October 9th, third year Explant-Versary. I'm so excited. And so, of course, I had to do a bonus episode for all my breasties out there so that we could talk about breast implant illness, what I've experienced in the last year. But I have a special guest on my show today. And before I introduce her, I've got to tell you the story. It was such a cool story. So I was asked to go to a business conference in Phoenix, Arizona, along with my author sisters. We went down there. We were supporting our coach, Kira Polson, who was also speaking at the conference, and had a fantastic time. But here I am in the conference, first day, and third speaker, I think third or fourth speaker, this beautiful woman is up on the stage. She's one of the producers of the Unstoppable Business Conference. She starts sharing her story. And there's so many similarities. She starts talking about foster care. I'm like, yeah, I was a foster parent for 8 years, worked for a foster care foundation for 13. Wow, that, we connect with that. And she keeps talking about her story. And then all of a sudden she starts talking about her breast implant illness story. And I was like, whoa. All right, now we really have a lot in common. So after her beautiful presentation, her beautiful talk, it was lunch. So I went up and I gave her a hug and I said, hello, breastie, because, that's what we do. My Illuminate Your Essence people, you may not understand that once you have an explant, they become our breasties. So hi, breastie. And I start telling her, hey, we have so much in common. And I did this podcast called Killer Boobies. And she says, wait, you're Killer Boobies? You're the person who does Killer Boobies? And she come to find out she had listened to every episode. And I'm going to let her share her story. But in essence, she had heard my podcast. She had heard every episode. And it was a very tender, beautiful moment, a moment that I thought sometimes we do things in life where we think, oh, we're just wasting our time. We're just spinning our wheels. Nobody listens. Nobody cares. And yet here was a woman who said that part of her healing story was Killer Boobies podcast, and it touched every cell in my body. And it reminded me of how powerful we can be when we get brave and we are courageous. And that was a moment of courage when I came out with Killer Boobies. So I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back, but I also know that it was divinely downloaded to me. So I'm going to give also credit where credit is due. But here's this beautiful, beautiful woman that I just described. Her name is Minda Pacheco, and she is a life coach, all in life coach, in fact.com. And she's beautiful. She's amazing. She's real. She's raw. She's courageous. She's brave. She's all the things. And I feel like we've known each other forever, even though I've only known her for 2.5, 3 weeks. And here she is. The wonderful, vivacious, amazing Minda Pacheco. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of my life now. Thank you.
My gosh, I'm already tearing up because you took me right back to that place where our eyes locked and you told me who you were and what you had put into the world and how it was I think it's 18 episodes. I just poured over every single one of them. And literally that is what tipped me over the edge and gave me the courage to do something that was very, very difficult for me. One of the hardest things I've ever done because of the perfectionism that ran through me for many, many years and the conditioning. And so we instantly are friends for the rest of our lives. And
absolutely.
That is magic.
Yeah. It's almost like we're just being reintroduced in this lifetime. Totally. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, so here I am just thinking, I've got chills all over my body right now as I'm talking, which is a sign that things are really aligned really beautifully. And so, Minda, I would love for you to tell the audience a little bit about you. I would love for you to just share your story, however it comes out. Doesn't matter where we go with this, because that's how I do my podcasts, is I just allow things to flow in the manner that they're supposed to flow. And it's always really, really cool at the end when I go, wow, that was interesting. I love where that went. So would you just share from your heart? Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about you.
Yeah. You know what? I love that we did some grounding before this. I'm going through a particularly challenging time right now, and that's just, my superpowers and my weaknesses are the same thing. And the thing that I love to share with people is just that I'm a real human being and that I have real struggles just like everybody else. And I have high highs and low lows. And at some point, I don't know where I signed up for the full human experience, but good Lord, I'm living it.
Amen to that.
And so I love that you and I have connected a few times since then. I've called on you because I knew I was supposed to, and you've helped me get through some postpartum workshop blues that I've been experiencing that I did not expect. And that's what's so beautiful about being in a community with people who understand and being able to call on our sisters, is that we never know when things are going to hit us. We never know when we're going to be called to do something that is really challenging and that we can't do alone, and we don't have to do it alone. And so I appreciate you so much. Like, I love you so much, and I hardly know you, but I know you. So
you know what, Minda, thank you so much for saying that. And yes, it means so much when you have a community and you have a soft place to land. And what many people don't understand is when they make a huge creation, whether it's a baby or it's a conference or it's just some big thing, maybe they wrote a book or started a new business, the high that got them there ends up crashing because we use so much of our energy and our adrenals that nobody talks about the postpartum after those creations and the lows that you experience the week or two after, and how it's really important to really guard that time as sacred time to renew and replenish. So I'm glad that you slowed down, and I'm glad that you reached out, and I'm glad that you reached up, and here you are.
Yeah, here I am. And you know what's interesting? It does kind of feel like I gave birth. And I realized that after I had a baby, I did give myself that space. I was really kind to myself. I said, this might take 2 months, 3 months. There's villages where the entire village comes together and takes care of the entire family for months after a woman gives birth. Where, like, I'm in the wrong place, because that's really what I needed after this event. And so this actually is a great segue into my story about my breast plant illness, because after I had a baby and I nursed my baby, I looked down at my chest one day and I thought, oh, this is never going to work. I had these really great perky breasts, and then I nursed a baby, and then I'm of the philosophy that after you give birth and nurse a baby, and like, your body should like surprise you and reward you, not to betray you. Right? Like, what is that sick joke? So I have a baby. I stopped nursing, and I remember distinctly, I looked in the mirror one day and I thought, well, I can't live the rest of my life like this with my chest like this. This is a problem. And interestingly enough, I grew up in a culture, in a little pocket of the world called Gilbert, Arizona, where a lot of us were just getting breast implants. It was just kind of what you did. It was a trend, honestly. Yeah. And it was really affordable, and I saved up, and I thought, perfect, this is the perfect Band-Aid. This is the answer to all my problems.
Yeah.
And so I, in my 20s, got breast implants, and I just never thought about my chest ever again. It was just like, and look at how good I look in a swimsuit, and I'm filling out all my clothes, and I'm naturally a thin person. And so it just filled my body out, and I loved it. And of course my husband loved it. And I'm like, win-win, this is perfect. And I honestly thought that I would, you have to get them replaced every so often, but I just thought, okay, you just go get them replaced, and then I would die with these beautiful round perky breasts in my casket, and all is well.
I know, right? Like that's just a beautiful look, right? We're all old and wrinkly, and then we've got these perky little boobies.
Right.
So,
right. And I really thought that was how it was going to go. But like many things in my life, most things in my life, it doesn't go the way I feel like it should.
Mhm.
And so if I trace back, if I'm looking back now, what I can see is that about 12 years ago, I started having some hair loss.
Mm.
And my hair was breaking off pretty bad. And I was trying everything to figure it out. I'm a researcher by nature. I love to get to the bottom of things. I put whole foods in my body. I love to do most, whatever I can naturally before I go to anything synthetic. And so I just started using all kinds of different shampoos and trying conditioners and trying hair strengthening products and going to a naturopathic doctor, and nothing was working. And I just, like, I thought, this is so, like, why can't I figure this out? I'm looking around at other people, their hair is not breaking off, and they're drinking Diet Coke and they're stressed out, and like, wow, what's happening? Right? Like, why? But this went on for years and I couldn't figure it out. And of course I never entertained the idea that it could be my breast. Like, that wasn't even on my radar. Well, a few years later, I started using Monat hair products because I had a cousin who was selling Monat, and she's like, I think this can help you. And after a year of using clean hair products, it still wasn't fixing the problem. And she said, Minda, I don't know if this, you have breast implants, right? And I said, yeah. And she goes, I don't know if that could be it, but I've heard that sometimes, contributes to hair loss. And I just wrote that off. Like, there's no way. Nope. I know so many people with breast implants, their hair's not breaking. It's not that. And I completely dismissed it, even though my gut got this reaction. My gut was like, pay attention. And I just dismissed it. So I went on for a few more years. I don't know the timeline exactly, but I went on for a few more years. And we adopted a little boy we got him when he was 6. We fought really hard to keep him in our family. We ended up adopting him when he was 8. And he did require a lot from us, but I was up to the task. I was healthy. I love a challenge. But when he turned about 11 and pre-puberty hit, he started having some serious rages. And it was unnerving to never know when he was going to fly into these rages that would last for hours, and I didn't know what to do. I was good for about the first 30 minutes of them, but they would last for hours, and I was in a lot of fight or flight for many years. I would say for 4 years we just never knew what to expect from him and how he would react. And he has reactive attachment disorder, and he has something called oppositional defiance disorder, and it was a big challenge. And my cortisol levels were just through the roof at that time, which basically, as I'm looking back, poured gasoline on the fire. And I started developing some really interesting symptoms that I couldn't deny, including, I realized that I had hypothyroidism.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was, but actually, it got to a point where it was so chaotic in our home with my son that we ended up having him go live with someone else. And it was at that time that I was at my all-time low. My health was in chaos. Our living situation was chaotic. My marriage was really chaotic. It's very, very hard on a marriage to be in a family with a child that has all this trauma, specifically reactive attachment disorder. And so it was a very, very, very low point in my life. And I did a lot of research, and through the grace of God, and actually my grandma, who's on the other side, helped me figure out that I had a thyroid challenge. And so I thought, okay, now I know what it is. Perfect. I'll research. I'll do all the things. I'll figure it out. No problem. I can handle it. I love a challenge.
Yeah.
So I spent about 3 months doing all kinds of research, and I eliminated every kind of endocrine disruptor from my entire life, inside and out. And it was a process, but it was kind of fun for me, honestly. And there's this part of me that deeply desires natural, whole, peaceful, I love to cook out of the garden. I love to cook whole foods that God created and make them taste incredible. So there's a part of me that like that was exciting for me. But as I removed and I started making my own skincare products, I started using just researching different oils I could use and different medicine, basically God-given medicine, food, and like I said, different essential oils and things like that for my body. And even, down to the laundry soap that I used. I started really, really going clean on everything. And months and months and months later, my symptoms were not getting any better. I was having the most random symptoms, and I ended up writing them down because I just thought, this is like, how is this happening to me? I'm the cleanest eater I know. I exercise. I am fit. I'm healthy. I drink lots of water. I take supplements. I do all the things. And I still have severely dry skin, dry red eyes. My hair is still falling out. In fact, at one point I had to make peace with what if I went bald? Like, it was really bad at a certain point that I just really, I said, stressing out about my hair falling out is making my hair fall out even more. So I'm going to have to make peace. Like, what if I was bald? And so I did some really deep diving around that and like, what would that be like for me? And could I handle it? And what does hair even mean? And that was some really cool work to do. And then I really noticed, like, I constantly have cold hands and cold feet, and my back is always hurting. My neck has tension in it. And I have these weird bags under my eyes. And I kept looking around like nobody else has bags under their eyes. What is going on? And so I ended up hiring a coach that works with thyroid challenges. And I did not know I didn't know that there was a thyroid coach, but there's a coach for everything. You have a hangnail, there's a coach for your hangnail, I promise. So I hired this coach, and she ends up being a godsend, like one of the greatest gifts of my life. She was so patient with me. She was so loving. We aligned in our homeopathic and our holistic approach to things. She said, Minda, let's do some testing. And so she sent we did some testing. She sent it into a lab, and it came back, and she said, oh yeah, Minda, you have parasites all over in your intestines. Like they're everywhere. Let's do a parasite cleanse. And so I said, okay, great. Let's do a parasite cleanse. This is going to cure my problem. This has been the thing. I'm so glad we know now. Let's do the cleanse. And she's like, Minda, it's going to be hard. I said, oh, please, I can do hard things. So it was a 40-day parasite cleanse. And literally if anyone's done a parasite cleanse, you know what I mean. You first have to be able to like kill off the biome that they weave around themselves, and then you have to attack them at full moon. It's a whole strategy. It's a 40-day strategy around the full moon, and then they release their toxins into your body. And so this looks like headaches and no sleep and anxiety, and it's like really, it was debilitating. It was 40 days of hell. But I'm like, guess what? I can do this because I know this is the cure, and I'm going to be fine after this. Let's go. So after the 40 days, I did feel a little bit better, but not a lot. And my symptoms definitely were still there. And I thought, okay, it's going to take some time for this. It's okay. We've got time. We've got all the time in the world. And we did some more testing 3 months after. And I was excited for her to be like, okay, we are good. Oh, and the first testing showed not only that I had parasites, but that I had a very weak lymphatic system, and my endocrine system was very working at about 40% or lower. The rest of my body was functioning at like optimal, but I mean, all the rest of the 30 things they tested was like optimal because I was eating clean, doing all the things, but still like my hormones, obviously, and my lymphatic system were very, very, very weak, very compromised. And so we did the new testing, and I thought, okay, it's going to look good. We're good. We just need my body to catch up. And she said, Minda, not good. Your body's showing signs for markers for Lyme's disease, Epstein-Barr, mold, metals. The parasites, getting that out of the way, uncovered what like the real symptoms were. And she said, Minda, do you have breast implants? And I said, yeah. So
yeah. Yeah.
And she looked me right in the eyes and she's like, Minda, I've been doing this for long enough. I'm 100% sure it's your breast implants. Not even 99%. Because if she would have said 99, I would have been like, well, I'm the 1%.
It's good
That's
thing she said
me.
100. She's like, no. There's no room. There's no
room. She said, Minda, and I wouldn't tell you this unless I love you and I want you to be whole. I want you to be healed. And my body reacted in a way that it was like truth seared into my heart. The truth you don't want to hear, the truth that is like the no, not that. Please, God, not that. And so I got off the phone with her, off my Zoom call with her, and I struggled because there was a serious dissonance between the truth, what I knew she was telling me the truth, and the reality that was going to have to, like, that was me ripping off. I'm going to have to rip off the Band-Aid that I put on 20 years ago. The Band-Aid needed to come off. And so in my last ditch attempt to hold on to my implants, I call my sister. She also has implants. She had lots and lots of health challenges. She also is a nurse and a researcher, and she knows her stuff. And I said, sister, please help me out here. Tell me that it's not my implants. And she actually, she's like, Minda, you get old, our bodies break down. We're going to have something that we deal with. It might be your implants, but it might not. And like, I just love her for doing that. I love her so much for telling me what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
But I hung up the phone with her and I knew what I knew. I knew the truth and I could not deny it.
Yep.
And I just sat in some massive discomfort, just massive. It took over my entire body. And I sat in it and I knew I needed to go start researching breast plant, explant. And so I joined a couple of Facebook groups that were so helpful. And I think through the Facebook group is how I found your podcast, Killer Boobies. And I was like, this is what I've been looking for. This is positive information. This is women who have stories similar to mine. Let's tell the truth about what's going on in the world and why we feel like we have to have breasts, big, perky, full breasts. And let's get to the bottom of the conditioning that we've been putting up with for so long that says that we need to look a certain way. And let's just band together as a tribe of women who all want to be free from that, like free from that. And I listen to every single episode. Hallelujah, right?
Hallelujah. Amen.
Yeah. And so I listened to every episode and oh my gosh, every single one. I remember I was at the gym and I'd be, working out on the treadmill or doing whatever. And just like every time I end an episode, I'm like, Minda, you got this. Minda, you can do this. Minda, nothing is too big for you. Who could you be on the other side of this? And I remember like the thing that tipped me over the edge. I don't remember her name, but if she's like, maybe she's listening, maybe at some point we'll get in contact, but it was a woman who decided to remove all of her breast tissue, including her nipples, because she had some kind of like high chance of getting cancer.
Yeah. Lacey.
And okay, Lacey, I love you. The reality is that she had no breasts and no nipples, and she made peace with it. And in fact, like embraced it and talked about how she even loved it. And I thought, if she can do that with zero breast tissue, like I'm going to have some breast tissue left. I'm for sure going to have my nipples. If she can love it, then it's all your thoughts. That's all it is. It's your thoughts. It has nothing to do with the circumstance. It has nothing to do with how big or small your breasts are. It's your thoughts about it. And oh my gosh, I'm a coach and I teach thought work all day long. Yeah. So I can do this. Yeah. And so I really I engaged in these Facebook groups and people were so supportive and so amazing at just answering all of my questions. I mean, it was like a full-time job trying to figure out, what this was going to look like and how I wanted to handle it and what doctor I wanted to go to. And all of the things that when your body is compromised like that, going into surgery it's not easy, to put your body through that kind of stress. And so what doctor do you trust? All the things about the capsule contraction and all of the getting the M block and the capsule, like all of the things that you learn and you research around all of this. And anyway, I ended up finding a really amazing doctor in Scottsdale, Dr. Pierce, highly recommend. And when I went and got my explant consultation, I actually went with one of my dear friends. It's like when when you're having a baby and you want someone to like know what you're going through, like misery likes company, that kind of thing. It was so cool because she had been having pain in her breast for a year. And she's like, Minda, I know I need to get mine out too. They're 25 years old. And I said, oh girl, let's do this together. So we went and scheduled our consultation together. We were in the room together. The doctor said, hey, do we want to do one at a time? I said, no, we're doing this together. We're going all in on this. Like, just give us the dang gown. Check. Tell us all what we need to know. And so honestly, the doctor looked at her and was like, oh yeah, we're going to give you a lift and you're going to be, we're going to get you right back into shape. You'll have some, nice breast tissue to work with, and you're going to be good to go. And then he looks at me and he's like, oh, you're going to be left with exactly the reason why you got these in the first place. And I wasn't laughing at the time.
I don't want to hear that.
No, I wasn't laughing at the time. I think I got to the secretary that was going to process my fee for the consultation, and I just couldn't hold back the tears anymore, and I just started, like, they just were pouring out of my eyes. I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And for the next, I would say, solid 12 hours, I just sat in pain and grief. And there was a 20-year-old girl in there who had never addressed the reason why she felt like she needed to have breast implants. And that girl spoke loud and clear to me for, 12 into the night, 12 solid hours. It was just like waves of emotion that came up, waves of grief, waves of you're not enough, waves of, this isn't what I wanted. This wasn't the plan for me. I was trying to fight it and lean into it. And I just kept having these, I just describe it as waves of the ocean coming in and like blindsiding me. And it wasn't even about my breasts at this point. It was about this girl who desperately needed to love herself, who had never learned how to love herself. And as soon as I realized, Minda, you know what you have to do, and you know how to do hard things. You know how. You've been preparing your whole life for this. I fell asleep that night, and my amazing, sweet husband just like didn't know really what to do. So he just rubbed my feet, made me some dinner, just like snuggled me all night long. And in the morning I woke up and I sat up and I got this divine, amazing, courageous download. It's like, Minda, who could you be? Who could you be on the other side of this? What could be awaiting you? Like, is there a surprise? Is there some kind of unexpected miracle that's waiting for you on the other side of this? And do you want to know what that is? And it was God saying to me, there is a miracle waiting for you on the other side of this, Minda. All you have to do is say yes to it. All you have to do is trust me. Do you trust me? And I fully surrendered. I fully surrendered into trust. I fully surrendered into loving myself and knowing what that was, to really love myself, every single part of me, all of me. And I scheduled my surgery for May 25th, and I felt so alive. I was so excited.
What year was this, Minda?
Oh my gosh, this was 4 months ago.
What?
This just happened.
What?
This just
May
happened.
of this year. And
this
you put
year.
on a business conference, you crazy lady. Oh,
I know,
my
right?
word. Oh my word.
Yeah, this just happened. This is fresh.
Oh.
And so I got to tell you, after I was prepared for the surgery. My body is obedient. I had been really taking care of myself, really preparing myself for this, and I knew it was going to go well. And I did ask my husband to give me a blessing before I went into the surgery, and it was one of the most profound, bonding, amazing experiences of our life. It talked about, Minda, you've hired the right doctor. Your body is obedient. Your surgery will go well. Put your mind at rest. And then it was this shift that happened, and the blessing, the rest of it was all about it. This is time for you to heal your relationship with your son Adam. And there are thousands of angels on the other side that are wanting and waiting to help you do this. And this is one of the unexpected gifts that are basically is what I knew is like, this is going to be one of the unexpected gifts. I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I can't wait to see what this is going to look like. And so I went into surgery. My surgery went great. I will say it was very shocking to look at my chest the first time. And I actually wanted to do it with my husband on purpose because I knew that it was going to be difficult for me. And I also knew that, you're with the right man when they love you, not your body. Love has nothing to do with the shape and size of your body parts. My husband loves me. He wants me, and he wants me to feel whole. He wants me to feel incredible and magnificent in my own skin, whatever that looks like. And I have never loved him and appreciated him more than in the moment when I unwrapped my bandages and I looked at my chest for the first time. And it was jarring. I'm not gonna lie, it's jarring. And as much as I try to prepare my mind for it and my body for it, it was hard. And I went to the shower and I cried. In the first few minutes, I cried because of what I saw. And then for the next 15 minutes, I cried because I felt so much love for myself. Like divine, pure, magnificent, godly love for myself. Like I hadn't felt in a long, long, long time. I was so proud of myself. I just can't describe it in words. I had so much love and pride for myself that it filled up my entire being, and it hasn't left me. And so I'm going to briefly tell you that was a miracle. That was an absolute miracle. And every time I look at my body now, I have so much love for my body. I love my breasts. I love this body so much. I am so freaking proud of myself. I mean, I'm like, look at you. My scars, like all of it. Look at me.
And Minda, that is really, really what Killer Boobies was all about. What this entire journey has been all about is coming back and reconnecting to what was always there. That love, that connection, that alignment with the truth that's within. And that we were seeking for external validation, that we were okay, that we were beautiful, that we were sexy, that we were sensual, that we were wanted, that we were all these things, right? And we live life, many of us live that till we die. And then there's others that finally wake up from that deep, deep sleep and slumber. And it takes sometimes an opportunity to completely surrender. Because one of the things that I picked up on your story, and I see this time and time and time again, including my story, we're doers. That's why we went out and got it anyways, right? We were like, okay, well, I don't feel sexy. I don't feel sensual. I don't feel attractive. I don't feel all of these things.
Yeah,
I'll just go buy it. I'll just go do it. Like I'm going to get it done. Right. interesting fact is the majority of women who end up getting breast implants have also been sexually violated. So that also adds a layer where there's a disconnect from our sexuality to begin with, right? There's a trauma, there's a layer of trauma there. And now we're trying to fix it because we're doers, we're fixers, let's get it done, right? We're strong. Most of the women who get breast implant illness are freaking rock stars. They're warriors, they're courageous. And it's because we wanted to fix a problem. And until we fully surrender, we finally learn to surrender. We surrender, we allow ourselves to be taught, we allow ourselves to unfold, and we come to the problem, which is just coming to that inner child, that person, that woman. For me, it was going back to 15 and 17. You've seen my video. You've seen how I embraced that sweet young girl, that girl that didn't have a choice whether or not she was spiritually and energetically hijacked, but she was. And now here I am wrapping her in love as a 52-year-old woman saying, I love you. I accept you. You were never broken. You just perceived yourself as broken. And here I am with a loving heart. I see you. I accept you with all your flaws. And here we get to see even physically the scars, the flaws, my boobs,
my scars.
My boobs are not perky.
Nope,
they're not.
Neither are mine.
And they're little, they're A's on a good day. And you know what? I love these little warrior princesses. I love them so much. They fought for me. I had no idea. And interesting enough, Minda, I'm studying the art of Tantra right now and sexual connection.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you've studied it all, the number one place for us to receive pleasure first, women, are our breasts. It's our breasts. It's not our clitoris. It's not our vagina. It's not our yoni. It is our breasts. And isn't it interesting how many of us have masked and clogged up the energetic connection right there with the fact that we wanted to change. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that as we are raising, what happened, here's what I kind of been piecing some different things. The last 3 years, I have come to learn a lot about myself, a lot about others. And I've really witnessed, you were talking about how wonderful you were with treating your body. You were feeding it healthy. You were taking care of it. You were doing all the things. And I think what was happening is your body's frequency kept going up, but you had this really low frequency right on your chest, right in that pleasure center.
Yes, that's it. That's it. And you know what I realized? This is the absolute like magic cherry on top of all of this is like, not only do I love myself, I mean, so much that it hurts, but I realized like when you're putting that kind of synthetic material in your body, and I had saline, right? So I thought it was safe, but the reality is there's 40 different toxic chemicals around the implant, right? And so you think about the highest vibration is linen and wool. It's a 5,000 vibration. And then you go down from there, like cotton is 100 vibration. Polyester is a 0 vibration. So imagine the vibration right by my heart.
Yes.
Imagine that vibration. So I get rid of that. And one day I realize, you know what, Minda, it's time for you to apologize to your son. And I mean, really apologize, like expecting nothing in return. And I was in my meditation room thinking, this needs to happen. And I'm not prepared to do this on my own. I called in my angels. I called in my guides. I called in my team. My son came a couple days later and I sat him down and I, with all the snot and all the tears, apologized from the depths of my open heart, my heart that now like could physically, literally open. And I felt the most amazing divine love for him for the first time. And I mean, for the first time since he was 6 years old. The love that he's needed his entire life that I have not been capable of giving him. It was given to me. And I hugged him like I meant it for the first time. And I'm telling you, that is pure alchemy. That's pure miraculous. That is pure, like, Minda, this is what I'm talking about. This is what you get to experience on the other side. And would you give that up for anything in the world? Like to have perky big boobs? Hell no. No.
You reconnected to yourself. You loved yourself. Your heart was exposed and allowed it to receive and open back up. And you felt it. You felt it. You connected. That's what it's all about. Breast implant illness, when I first went down this road, if you want to listen to the beginning, we actually had 56 episodes. And it's so interesting. If you start listening to the episodes, we talked a lot about the physical aspect, the physical component, what supplements, how to do it, how to make sure that you get the full capsule, all of the things, which is important. And we need to start there, right? I mean, you and I both, I was actually told, it was so interesting after I finally got my final God download, because I surrendered. I was on my knees finally and said, God, I'm dying. And I know I'm dying. And it's not going to be much longer. So, but I don't feel like my journey is done. And if that is the case, please show me what is inside of me that's making me sick. Isn't that interesting that I would phrase it that way? And so in that weekend, in a 2-day period, of 4 people tell me, hey, have you considered it? It might be your breast implants. What's interesting is if you reverse timeline 6 months, I had 3 others that also told me that.
Of course,
I wasn't ready to listen. I wasn't ready to even explore that might be the problem. So when I was finally surrendered and I was open to anything, because this body was dying, this person was dying, and I knew it. I knew in my soul, if I didn't get it figured out, which of course my explant was 10 days after I discovered.
No, I know your story is miraculous. That's, I mean, absolutely, like God's like, it's now. We're doing this now. And you know what else is crazy about all of us? The recurring theme is we don't go down without a fight. We're going to figure out all the things before, right? Like God knows, like, you're not going to go down without a fight, sister. And I know this about you. So, okay. I mean, you could just listen or you could fight it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to fight it. You know me. Fight it. He's like, all right.
Start it.
Okay.
I mean, it is our greatest blessing and our biggest curse, right? We are strong women. We know we're doers.
We're going to figure it out. Gosh, dang it.
But it's in the surrender that we actually learned. It's in the surrender. And even now, fast forward, I'm 3 years out. I can't believe you're like 4 months out, sis. Like I can't even believe it. And that you just did an Unstoppable Business Conference. No wonder you're tired.
Yeah.
No wonder you're tired.
Tired.
So here's the thing. It's moving forward. The biggest thing that I've learned in the 3 years of my explant is being absolutely in tune and loving my body and not fighting the signs and signals that it gives me. It just so happened I put out that video, Time to Heal, only a few weeks ago. It was taxing on my adrenals. Right after I went to that, I went to your conference. Right after that, I went and did a 3-day camp out where I didn't sleep because it was raining all night. And I paid for it. Because I wasn't listening to the initial, hey, you're starting to feel tired. Hey, your body's a little achy. Maybe you should pull back a little bit. Maybe nurse your adrenals a little bit, maybe do a little extra meditation, do all the tools that you know, your tapping, your yoga, your breath work. Why don't you kind of do some of those things and start to say no to some of the things that you've said, and it's okay. And it wasn't until I was actually supposed to throw a gala for a dear, dear friend of mine. Love her organization, love the nonprofit. It's going to change the world. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it for her, but I did not align in that choice in my soul. My soul, I never asked my heart and my gut what it thought. And because of that, my body really started giving me some problems in the last couple of weeks. I was dizzy again. I had the vertigo. I had the tinnitus. I've never lost the tinnitus. I will. it's not going to be my story in the future. But for right now, I still am learning. What am I not listening to? That's what my tinnitus says. What am I not listening to? And I'm going to figure it out. I haven't figured it out yet. I do know it goes a lot louder when I'm in, when my nervous system is out of alignment. And my nervous system has not been in alignment in the last couple of weeks because I haven't listened and I haven't stopped and I haven't given it the nurturing and love that it deserves. And so what I have discovered is that I have had a lifetime of learning how to self-betray. I'm really super good at it. Like I could probably teach anybody.
You could write a book.
Self-betrayal 101. Wendy Bunnell. I'm the expert. But I'm changing that story and saying Wendy gets to be her greatest advocate and her biggest cheerleader. And the only person who knows what her heart is saying is her. The problem is years before, I didn't know what my heart was saying because I had literally closed it off. I didn't know what my heart wanted. I did what everybody else. I just made sure everybody was happy. That was my job. And now I come back and go, what does Wendy really want? And a lot of times it's serve and love and give. And I have the capacity and I have the energy. And sometimes it's, you're going to stay home, wrap yourself in a beautiful blanket and just nurture yourself. Drink some tea, read a book that you want to read, go take a bubble bath, like unplug from the world. And that is one of the gifts that I'm getting is instead of doing myself to happy, it's being. Just being here, being present, being with nature, being with myself, being with my family. Learning intimacy starts with this girl first. And if I'm not connected to this girl, I can't connect to anybody else. And breast implant illness has been one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. One of the greatest, most magnificent gifts. It helped me return back to me. And I don't know if that was the gift that it gave you, but it sounds to me like you opened this great big present called Minda Pacheco, and you got to see her in all her beauty, all her love, all her gloriousness. And she didn't need to have anything changed. She was never broken.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about fighting aging and not wanting to be older. And there's something weird about me that loves being, I'm 47. I can't wait to be 50. I honestly can't wait to be 60. I know exactly what that 60-year-old is going to wear. I know what her hair is going to look like. I know what I can't wait to age because of all of these incredible lessons that I've had in my life, because of all these incredible gifts and because of what I know and who I get to be. Who do I get to be when I'm 60 and 70 and 80? I get to be a person who's so full of love that it's overflowing. And there's nothing more for me to do than to overflow this love onto everyone in my life.
Yeah.
And that is what I didn't know at 20. That girl thought that it needed to look a certain way. I needed to do. I got shit done. I did enough for 10 people in one day. And that's how I felt valued. That's where I got all of my worth from is, what are you doing? What are you accomplishing? What are you, I still love to check boxes, let's be honest, but it doesn't define me. The boxes I check and don't check don't define me. And that's the gift. And so just add breast implant illness to the list of gifts in my life. And that gift is just going to keep giving, because what happened at the conference is so many people just like you came up to me. There was a sweet girl. She's probably in her, I'd say early 30s. And she came up to me and she couldn't even speak. She buried her head in my chest and just sobbed. And I felt her implants on me. And I'm like, oh, I know, sister. And she's getting her explant in February. And she said, I'm scared to death. And I said, oh, girl, I got you.
We got to send her this one. We got to send her this podcast.
You.
Yeah.
And And I get to, like, with all of my experiences, with all the crazy, I've been through a lot, and so have you. But the silver lining in all of this is that I now get to be like, stand as a beacon of what is possible for women when
Right.
we tune into ourselves, when we come back home. It's so
Right.
holy. Like, this is, my body feels like a holy vessel that
Mm.
is so full of love that I just want to keep filling it. I just want to keep giving it. I just want to be in service to people.
Yeah.
And I want to be in service to myself and understand what my, what it looks like to give love to myself and nourish myself when I need to. That's a challenge for me these days.
It's because it becomes such a pattern. And when we're breaking patterns, we've got to have, I encourage anybody that's breaking a pattern to be very compassionate with yourself.
Hmm.
You learned how to do that really well. Just my self-betrayal. Oh man.
Hmm.
In fact, sometimes I don't even spot it. I didn't even spot that being in charge of a gala of something
Hmm.
I really truly believed in, and a person I loved, that would be self-betrayal until
Hmm.
my body told me, "Hey, sis, you're doing it again."
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is I was really, really so stressed about talking. Oh, by the way, Minda, it was our conversation that sparked this in me too. So thank you very much. Anyway, so I had the crucial conversation with her. Come to find out, it was like a sigh of relief for the entire committee. And we're
Hmm.
postponing it until next year. And in the meantime, we're doing all sorts of really even better ideas that unfolded because I was courageous enough to say, I
Hmm.
can't do this. My body doesn't want me to do it. It's not in the highest and best in my life right now. So I'll be a part of it, but I can't lead it. And that
Hmm.
discussion helped foster the ideas of, hey, maybe we need to pause and look at a better way of doing this. And there
Hmm.
was a better way of doing this.
Hmm.
And so when you are out of alignment, most of the time, the other people are out of alignment too. And so it's a gift that you give to someone else when you step into your truth, whether that's a hard conversation or not. And so I think those programs, the cycles, the things that we find ourselves going again, it's kind of like a tornado, right? It's like, even though you're not in the very bottom where you're like, and I'm doing it over and over and over and over,
Hmm.
sometimes as you're getting out of it, you keep having an opportunity to revisit for a second. And you're like, oh, that's right. I don't do that anymore. And then we
Hmm.
get around,
Hmm.
and finally at the end, we'll get out of the tornado and we'll get out of it. But having the compassion and understanding that, I mean, you're really literally only 4 months out. I'm 3 years. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I do know my adrenals and my nervous system are my number one priority. If
Hmm.
I start to see the signs that those things are coming out of balance, then I am not going to be able to show up in my business, my personal life, my spiritual life, my sexual life. None of it
Hmm.
works if I am out of alignment in those two areas. And so I pick up on the subtle cues and the subtle understanding, and I pull back and go, okay, what do you need? What do you need right now? And listen to it, rebuild it. And then I'm able to go out and do what I feel is going to make an impact on the world and also light my fire. So any last bits of information, advice that you'd like to share with our community as we wrap things
Hmm.
up? Just wondering if there's any final thoughts.
Let me see what's coming up for me. I I know that everybody who's listening to this is probably facing something that's uncomfortable. This is part of life.
Yeah.
Some kind of challenge. It might not be breast plant illness. It might not be anything that we talked about today, but everybody has something that feels too big for them.
Mhm.
And and it is too big. It is too big on your own. My hope and my desire is that every time something is too big for me, I just lean into the divine, and we partner and we do this together. Like, God, show me how to do this because I can't do it on my own. I'm literally too weak. This is too much for me. It's
Yeah.
too big for me. but you know how. You can show me how, and I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be a student. Teach me. And God and the Divine Mother, like, they've never let me down. Never let me down. They've walked me through every single fire that I've ever had to walk through, and they will every single time. And miracles are waiting on the other side. I can promise that the miracles outweigh anything that we feel like we need to hold on to.
Yeah.
Anything that's too big, too scary. The miracles on the other side, like, God's just like, every time, just trust me. Just trust me. It's going to be so much better than you ever imagined. Just trust me.
Just trust. Just trust. I love that we are literally ending on that note. Just trust. Trust your heart, trust your gut, move forward with action and faith. And it is a miracle on the other side. I am not the same woman that I was 3 years ago. I'm not the same woman as I was a year ago. And I'm so incredibly grateful for the journey. Minda, I know that there's individuals out there that would like to connect with you. What is the best way they can do that?
You know what? I can just give my email. It's allinlifecoach@gmail.com. And just, I'd love to connect with anyone who wants to reach out. I'm all about having deep dive conversations and just being in relationship with people who are who want to connect. I love it.
Okay, wonderful. allinlifecoach.com or allinlifecoach@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. All right. And for all of you out there, I think I mentioned just a little tidbit of information last podcast, last week, could have been last year, but it was just last week. We are planning on 2 events. Many of you have said, I need that cuddle puddle that was shown in your video. I need to have connection. I need women in my life. I need safe individuals that I can be around. So we're doing Healing the Wounded Woman retreat in May. I'll get you the exact dates, most likely in the next week. Also put on your calendar at the end of September, the last weekend in September, Burning Woman in Cedar City. It's going to be the largest healing experience in the country. And so we're super excited about that. And with that being said, if anything, please consider joining the Time to Heal community on Facebook. What Minda and I just talked about. Having a community that can support you, that can walk you through, who can be there, who can listen, but also help you with options and solutions, and maybe pointing out your blind spots, maybe understanding and help lift you up, get you out of the muck, because you can sit in the muck for a minute and we'll let you feel it. But at some point, we need to get you out of that muck. We need to clean you off, and we need to help you understand that life can be different, that life can be better, that life can be joyful and peaceful and pleasurable. And that's where we want you to be. And with that being said, can't wait for the deep dive, the dialogue, and the discussion on next week's Illuminate Your Essence. Have a wonderful week or weekend, whatever it is. Namaste. Thank you for listening. Spread the word by subscribing, liking, and sharing the Killer Boobies podcast today. You could be the person who helps someone reverse their pain and suffering and reclaim their health today.